So we've got a number of speakers now who are going to help us take the next steps, and I'm thrilled that they're here. Our first panelist is Blanca, who lives in East Palo Alto, and she's going to describe how she became a certified housing counselor and is now helping others in the community to realize the dreams of home ownership. Please welcome Blanca. Our next speaker is Elena, who is a sheet metal worker that has found side jobs and creative solutions to help make ends meet. Elena? Tamara knows the heavy costs, both emotional and financial, of leaving a bad marriage and establishing a new home for her and for her family. Please welcome Tamara. And finally, we have Erica, who has also had to find housing for herself and her two children away from their father, and works at a construction firm without any benefits for her family to rely on. She's glad that she's closer to work, but is relying on a very thin safety net if anything goes wrong. Please welcome Erica. Okay, I want to thank our panelists, especially because some of them actually took time off work today to join us. So put your hands together. So I was told that they were a little bit shy, and so wanted to respond to questions as opposed to telling your stories. But before I start asking questions, would anyone, having heard from Alicia and some of the comments I made, is there any initial comments that any of you would like to make?
Thank you for sharing your story. It's definitely very inspirational, both of you guys, for me, and specifically I think too for some of the women that I'm working with that are in the audience. So I just really appreciate it.
Okay, let's start with some questions to ask you. Why don't we go down the line here and have each of you tell us about your background, where you grew up, where you've gone in school, what your family situation is, so we can get a sense of who you are.
Sure, I grew up in East Palo Alto, California. I am currently living in Fremont. I have two children, a 9-year-old and a 2-year-old. I am currently working for AbleWorks, and
I currently work at a construction company. I live in Oakland. I'm recently moving back over to East Palo Alto. I grew up in East Palo Alto. I have 2 kids, I'm a single mom. I go to school in Milpitas, and I'm part of AbleWorks program. I'm thankful to be here.
I'm a San Francisco native, but I was raised in San Jose. I've been in the union for over 30 years. I spent all of my education in San Jose, and I have 2 grown sons that are also sheet metal workers.
I'm originally from Germany. I came here when I was young. I fell in love and I thought he's the right one. Turned out to be really bad. Ended up homeless for a while, and for a short while, thank God, I met a really nice man. We've been together for a while, but we are struggling financially. We live in East Palo Alto right now.
Why don't you hold on to that, Eric, and I'll ask the next question. Tell me about the benefits that you're receiving if you are employed.
I'm not working. I'm looking for work right now. I went to job training. I'm done now with the training there, so I'm looking for work right now because it really is necessary that I help my husband out, because there's no way that you can, with one income in this area, it's just not possible.
So the question was?
If you are employed, what kind of benefits do you have?
If I'm employed? Okay, right now, I am unemployed, but my union subsidizes my unemployment, so I still make a little bit more, better money than the average person collecting. But when I'm working, I could bring home almost $900 after all my taxes are taken out. So I do live quite well when I am working as a sheet metal worker.
Is that $900
Take home,
a week?
take home.
All right, how many of you want to sign up to be sheet metal apprentices?
What are the benefits?
Medical, I'm on the PPO, I pay 80%, 20%, and my union pays the 80%. I enjoy what I do. I don't lack for want for anything. My union supports all the women that come into their locals. And basically, my wages when I'm working, my package is over $88 an hour. And my take home is roughly around $47 an hour because I put in the maximum in my pension. And that rates me a little bit less than what the men make because they only put in $1 to my $5. So
The question is, you have a high-paid job, and also you are in a field where there aren't that many women.
less than 2% of women.
I would like you to repeat her question after she asks, okay?
So the question was, I said you are in a union job, sheet metal, where there aren't as many women, so I know what you are against, but I was going to ask you, with your job as a sheet metalist and also being in the union, how often are you on your job and how often are you off your job? I wanted to be able to know what it would be like in a year or 2 years. Are you on more than you're off, or is it sporadic? What is it like?
Being in the building
Okay,
trades,
repeat the question.
okay, I believe the question is do I work full-time? Or how does work relate to the economy? We, as sheet metal workers, or as in any trades, we're only working when there's buildings being made. So because of our packet, we're supposed to put away for a rainy day. We make that much so that when the building's done, we go home and we wait for the next call. It's not considered seasonal, but it's more considered as a project. When the project's done, we go home. Some of us go out and look for other work. Some of us enjoy the time off, which I do. So right now, we're just waiting for the Apple job to break ground, which is going to be within 4 or 5 months. And at that time, we're going to be pushing for a lot of pre-apprentices and apprentices because we don't have the manpower for the jobs coming up. And we got enough work for 10 years of trades. But once again, you always save for a rainy day. And when I got into the trade, we were also told to get another hat, as well as your hard hat. So you always take a second interest in whatever you do for a backup.
Okay, so you might think that working at a construction company, you would say, oh, she probably gets good benefits, but I have no benefits for my job. Maybe because it's a subcontract work, and hopefully, thank God that I qualify for Medi-Cal. That's the only research that I get my health coverage and everything else to give to my kids, but other than that, my job doesn't provide any benefits at all.
So are you working full-time?
Full-time,
And what are you getting paid an hour, if you don't mind us asking?
$12.50.
Getting paid $12.50 an hour, and you have how many children?
2, a boy and a girl. I have a 4-year-old and an 8-month-old baby.
So you are living at the poverty level.
Yes.
What do you do about food?
Food, I get food stamps, luckily. I just got approved for it. Before they wouldn't because I wasn't working, but now that I started working and now that I'm paying rent, so it that's helping me out a lot. So
I actually have, I do have insurance, medical insurance, dental insurance. Recently we got a retirement plan as well, so I'm good. I love what I do and I'm good, thank God.
For those of you that are feeling the challenge of the unemployment rate, which is astonishing, and the lack of the renewal of unemployment insurance, and those statistics are over there. In California, if we don't renew unemployment insurance on the federal level, 500,000 Californians will lose their unemployment insurance by the middle of this year. And the result will be 42,000 jobs lost in California, because those who have unemployment insurance spend those dollars and they go right back into the economy. And so for every dollar spent, it's really worth about $1.50 in the economy. But if you don't have those dollars, you're not spending them, and that affects the retailers that don't have the sales, and then they will lay off personnel and the like. So, tell me what the struggle is for each of you. What is the thing you fear the most? What is it you do to try and cope?
The struggle for me, I believe, is more for the educational system. I believe here in East Palo Alto, my kids, I work in East Palo Alto, and my daughter goes to Castaño School, and one of the things that I see here in this community, I think it's a struggle more than anything, is the educational system really, and the lack of employment here. So I think that my fear is that there isn't enough opportunity for women in this community, including myself, and for my daughter when she grows up, you know, the education that she's going to have, whether or not it's going to be, you know, she's going to get educated well enough to be able to really thrive and be advanced as the kids from Palo Alto, per se.
The struggle for me right now is mostly on childcare. I work full time. Once I get off of work, I go to school. It's kind of hard, and I hate being away from my kids. But I know I think about it, and I say, okay, I'm doing it for them, and in the long run, everything's gonna be okay, and I'm gonna have more time with them. And what I fear the most is that I guess just being away from my kids.
So how much of the day are you away from your children?
I'm gonna say from 7:30 in the morning all the way till 9 o'clock at night.
And who takes care of them during that time?
It varies because I don't have childcare, so it's either my mother-in-law or my sister-in-law. So kind of like bounces.
So if you weren't living in an area where you had an extended family, what would you be doing?
I don't know. Come home.
See, that's the dilemma. Elena?
I'm close to retirement. I only needed 3 more years, so pretty much my time is up. I remember back when I was an apprentice that when others were struggling, I really didn't struggle because I had the support of my family. I've realized as I watch younger women come into my trade that they don't have the support of their immediate family, and they fail because when they come home from a hard day's work, the other half isn't willing to do half of the work. The woman has to go work all day, go home, work all night, take care of the kids and everything else. And what basically happens is that they don't have the support of their spouse. And that is where the problem comes in, because even though I didn't have a spouse when I was raising my children, I had the support of my family. I didn't pay for child support. child care, because I had younger sisters and I had a mother who was willing to do this. So once again, it takes a village for anyone to succeed, and if you don't have it, then you have to be actually a lot stubborn and hard-headed to plow on. And I've heard women just tossing over their other half because they weren't really willing to cooperate with what would be a very successful career. And most of it is insecurity on the men's part. You definitely have to have the support of your family in your choice of your career.
Yeah, that's a good point. We don't have family here. So that makes everything harder. And for us, the big issue is housing. Where we live right now, it's really not acceptable.
Tell us about your housing situation.
Bad.
Well, let everyone know what bad is.
We don't even have a kitchen. But that's the situation. We basically have a room and a bathroom in someone's backyard. So that's the situation.
And how much are you paying for that?
$650, which is a good price here in the Bay Area. You can't get anything lower than that. And I really need
How do
to
you
find
feed your
work.
family?
We are on food stamps right now.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
we
how do
get
you
food
make, how do you
stamps.
prepare food?
Yeah, actually, we have an electric skillet. That's what I use. That's all I have. And you learn to make do with whatever you have. I mean,
Do you have a microwave?
yes, yeah. So that's how it is. And you just we really learn to look on the bright side. At least we found each other, and at least it's much better than my first marriage was. So that we make it work. Whatever situation we're in, we just make it work with together. And you have to keep looking on the bright side. That's the only thing that keeps you going. And so I really want to find a job. And no, definitely it's a struggle. And my daughter goes to school in East Palo Alto, and she's 8, and also I'm not too happy with it. And definitely you're always thinking on the other side of the freeway, they are getting much better schooling, and yeah, you just always hope that, your kids will have a better future.
All right, questions from the audience? Yes.
I had a personal experience where a woman had shared her struggles of surviving and living in shelters. And when she shared with me her situation, she said her children suffer, her husband suffers. And so I heard you, Jackie Spears, talk about the jobs. And I can't help but think employment is very important. And I see many, many women working 1 or 2 or 3 jobs, but I can't help but think about the children. And at the same time, you talked about how education helps. And we know, to the children, we know that part of the educational process is the parents being there. So at the same time, we want to give them jobs, but at the same time, they can't be there for their children to support them emotionally. And the stresses and the strains on the women trickle down to the whole family. The question is to you, how can we make it where women can have a better paying job, but also have a balanced lifestyle where they could be with their children, support them where they could be happy and thrive, and you too can feel rested and not ragged after the end of the day or at the end of the week? Is there a way, do you have any idea how you can have those 3 things? Be with your children, have a job that provides you a good income, and you be rested, because all of you are so beautiful and strong that I want you to have what you deserve.
Yeah, well, it is hard because I have 3 kids, and so for me it was really important to be there, because I feel it's my personal opinion is if you want to raise good kids, you have to be there at some point. I mean, if both parents just work full-time, I don't think, in my opinion, I don't know how it can work, but then on the other hand, you don't have the income to survive here, and so, I don't know, that would be, yeah, in a perfect world, that would be great if, I don't see that in our country right now. I see in Germany, definitely, it's a little bit better, at least at the time when I left there. I think my friends over there with their families, they had a little bit better than we do here. But yeah, that would be a great world to live in. I mean,
Tell us a little bit about the resources in Germany in terms of childcare and
I think it's
child development programs.
I hear it from my friends. It's really getting worse and worse, more like it is over here. But when I was there, I think my friends, when they had their kids, I think they get three months off at least. I think, or not 3 months. Oh gosh, I think it was a lot more than that. It was for was it even 3 years, and I think the husband and the wife, they can share. So each of them 1.5 years. I mean, it's I'm not sure if it still is like that, but and then you have you get money for your kids every month from the government, depending on how many kids you have. So, the more kids you have, they pay you money every month. I mean, I can't even imagine that here. And then health insurance, you have health insurance, that's a normal thing. I mean, yeah, so, yeah, in that way it was pretty good over there.
So you don't necessarily have universal preschool or childcare, but you're paid to stay home with your children, it sounds like.
Yeah, preschool, well, I never had kids over there. I'm trying to remember how it was for my friends. I don't remember exactly, but definitely they offer a lot more over there. But it seems to be getting worse. But they are complaining a lot, but I say, oh, okay.
My kids treat me like a wallet. And the only thing I prove to them is that Mama does have to balance a checkbook, and that's why they followed me into the trade. But on the other hand, the times that I wasn't employed and spent time as a parent and took my kids to school and did the parent thing, it energized me as a woman and as a female, because when I leave for work, I put on my pants, I put my hair up, I put my safety glasses on, and my gender stays in the car. And my kids realize that as they get into the trade, that Mama's got a reputation, and they have to pretty much follow in my footsteps, because some of the men already told them, how come you don't, your mother's in the trade, how come she didn't teach you certain things? And I told them, well, they never really want to listen to a female. So I still get it from the male part of the family that I don't know any better, but being a parent and, like I said, being there all the time or to have time with them, it would be nice if, because I know everyone needs an 8-hour paycheck, but in the trades, we have people sitting on the books, and if someone would just wake up and say, stop paying for the overtime and the double time, and get the people off the books on straight time, even though it makes them put them on a 6-hour day, so then the other worker can work 6 hours. That would be really great, but at this time, the contractors and the employers don't really think that way. And until that happens, we aren't going home to our children at the end of an 8-hour day.